solo is about to drop and I'm going to be doing a design breakdown on the promotional posters and a lot more. So if you're as hyped as I am, stick around because this is a very special episode of Brand Patrol. What is up, team? It has been a hot minute since I've created a design or creative video for YouTube. And the reason is because I've been busy working on a couple of other projects, which I'll mention more towards the end of the video. So if you want to jump to a specific point in this video, there should be timestamps in the description, and also you should be able to see the little chapters of the video. Now, this is a very special episode because we're basically taking two of my top passions, which is design and music, and bridging them together to create like an ultimate passion. So if you're the kind of person that likes creative content that's entertaining and educational, drop that fill bucket onto the subscribe button, change it out of red so you're actually subscribed to the channel, and click on the little thumbs up as well because it helps the channel to grow and also helps the algorithm get this video out to the people that want to see it. So first of all, just look at this. So my favourite member of BLACKPINK is Lalisa, and she has come out with this promo poster basically advertising that her solo album is coming out soon. Now I can go into all sorts of details about why she is my bias, and I'm not going to do that in this video, so if you want to know, feel free to leave a comment down below and we can start a discussion there. And this video is about the design of this poster, so we're going to be talking and focusing on that. So on first glance it's actually a pretty good design, but let's talk about it more on the computer. So this is personally what I like about these promotional posters.
Lisa!
Hi.
Lisa!
Hi.
Lisa!
Okay, I think the viewers get the point. First of all, the editor is done having his fun.
Lisa!
Here's a really quick look at the posters that have come out to promote Lisa's solo album. We had this coming soon one, this horizontal version of this, and then of course we've got this one as well, which I just recently saw. So talking about what actually works for the design, what is actually good about it. So going over to this one for now, something I immediately noticed off the bat was the use of colors. It's very limited in the color palette, which I really like. So they didn't go too crazy with the amounts of colors that they put in this. I've just put the color palette up there on the screen for you now. So the main colors you're really looking at here are gold and red. Gold and red are typically colors you'd see in China. I really do think that they thought this through. Even though Lisa is from Thailand, there's still the whole multicultural sort of aspect of it. And she may not necessarily be going for this, but this is just something that I've observed just from this design. And to be honest, personally, I like that aesthetic. I especially like seeing it in other popular franchises right now. So if you guys have heard of Genshin Impact, it's a very popular game right now. There's a lot of reds and golds in that, especially in the cities. And also, of course, the upcoming Marvel movie Shang-Chi also got a lot of use of red and gold. Now, looking at the background of this, it's all black. That kind of reminds me a little bit of that scene from Stranger Things where Eleven was in that sort of dark room with the water on the ground. But apart from the background and Lisa, you've also got this typography laid out across the design, and they've decided to use a serif typeface. And of course, you've also got the smaller text which give out the finer details of the promotion. So while we're still on the topic of what I actually like about the design, I feel like I do need to mention that I'm not actually a big fan of serif typefaces usually, but in some instances they do work, and in those instances what they do is they make something look really premium and really high class, especially when you're putting gold text on a black background. That looks really bougie, and I'm sure all of you Gen Z people out there will know exactly what I'm talking about. In this vertical version, I really like the negative space. I think it's fantastic. In this horizontal version, there's also a bit of negative space, but not as much. They've really made a good use of the typography and where they positioned it on the image. So I think the structure of it is gridded very well. So all of these elements fit together very nicely. And of course, when you have a poster or a promotional thing that has really small text like down the bottom like that, when they have something like that, it just sells the whole poster thing a bit more. Not everyone reads the fine print, but like having it there is just like this little design element that makes the poster look more official, more legit. You know what I'm trying to say. So I also think Lisa is in a very interesting pose, and I think it was planned as well. There are a lot of shapes here pointing you to different directions, but I think the main thing that it's trying to point us to is towards Lisa's face. I'll show you how they're leading our eyes to look at her face. So there's her arm and she's holding her hair. So what happens is we're looking at her hand and going up the hair to focus on the face. Another thing is the way her legs here are angled like this, and then I'm going like that, looking up at her face. Also, this arm here is almost like an arrow, which again is leading us to her face. So they've marketed this idea really well, and that's really clever. So being half Filipino, or in a broader term, Southeast Asian, I noticed that her outfit seemed to be kind of made out of, those gangster kind of bandanas with the paisley patterns, which kind of also gives off this idea of multiculturalism, right? Since the Philippines for me has a very special place in my heart. And I say that because these things are seen not just in the West, but in the East and Southeast Asia, or at least it is in the Philippines. Because just traveling around the Philippines, I see a lot of people when they're catching the public transport and stuff like that. There's a lot of smog and things in the air. Traffic's always congested. And to sort of block out the smog, they're always covering their faces with these bandanas. So seeing her wearing this outfit is also reminding me of those times when I went to the Philippines. And might I mention that Lisa is actually quite the multicultural person. She can speak so many languages: Thai, English, Korean, Japanese, you name it. But anyways, I digress. Let's back it up real quick. So yeah, these are just a few reasons why I like the design. Now let's talk about what I don't like about the design. Now, just a quick disclaimer, anything that I say here that may sound negative does not in any way intend to be an attack or defamation or even an insult to anyone that was involved in creating these posters, which I am assuming it's an intern at YG Entertainment. But as I said earlier, I had a ton of good things to say about the design anyways. So moving on, I'm sure Lisa wasn't personally designing these promos, but I can't help but notice there are a couple of design and copy flaws. Let me show you what I mean by that. So let's try looking at this one here. Firstly, if you take a close look at the typography, sorry guys, no free feet pics, you'll notice that this ghosting effect is happening around the edges. And I don't know if that's something that they went for on purpose, but usually that's not very professional. And look at that, you can kind of see this like dark outline around it. I don't know if they're trying to go for a shine effect, but I'm not getting the shine. That doesn't translate to me as a shine. You can see it here as well. There's all these poorly cut out letters here. That just stands out too much to me, and I feel like it's a bit off-putting. It creates the impression that it was kind of cut out of something else. I'll show you an example of that. So here is a blank canvas, and here is the text, Lalisa. Now, as you can see on the right here, I've got two layers. I've got the text layer, so I can move that around like that, and I've got the background, which is pretty much locked in place. For example, if this text layer and the background were merged together, I can't actually move the text around anymore because it's locked to the background. And I don't know if this is exactly what happened here, but I wouldn't be surprised if the senior manager or someone just gave the intern a PNG file with the text like that and told them to just cut it out themselves and put it onto the poster, because that's what it feels like. So they probably just copied it like that and just kind of like dumped it in, and that's where this ghosting effect comes in. Because I cut it out of the image like that, this ghosting effect happens. But if I had it on a separate layer, you don't get that ghosting effect. I really don't know what they did there. It's not very professional, I'm sorry. I also feel like there's a bit of misleading copy. Check this out, right? So the first coming soon poster, that's fine. That's 100% fine. Coming soon, Lisa, I get it. But then when they dropped this one, Lisa first single album, released 2021-09-10, I get the Lisa first single album. When I'm reading that, it just feels like they've done her dirty. And I'll tell you why, because I'll compare this to two other posters. So what we're looking at right now is two other posters by two other members of BLACKPINK who also had their solo releases. Just comparing the three, if we look at Jenny's over here, the English makes so much more sense, right? First single and music video release, and then the date. It's clear, it just makes a whole lot of sense. Rosé's one is just simply Rosé and the date. But then just moving on to Lisa's one. What is this? Lisa first single album. My brain is trying to figure out what they're trying to say here. So is it Lisa's first single and album? Or is it Lisa first single plus album? Is it Lisa's first single? So is it Lisa's first single plus album? And is the song called Lisa? Is the album called Lalisa? Like it's just not clear. And they could have done a slightly better job on that. I'm sorry, but someone has to say it. It is a self-titled thing, right? Or is it something else? Anyways, moving on. I have a couple of other issues. There's a couple of spacing and alignment things that I'm not quite happy with. I personally would have liked to see the date convention flip the other way, as in day, month, year. And I know that's an Australian thing. I don't like seeing the year as the first thing because I feel like that's the least important piece of information. We're more concerned about immediate information, and if the release was actually in 2022, people would forget about it in the lead up, basically just giving us a poster way too soon. So the main things I would say need to come first are day and month, and then the year, because when you're promoting something, it's usually immediate. It's like, okay, this thing is coming out, you guys got to get ready for it. You don't see movie trailers advertising for a movie like like 3 years down the track, or maybe some cases you do, but most likely no. One other painful detail that I noticed was that there's this very obvious grain. And what I mean by that is I feel like it's the Photoshop stock grain effect. So like they took an existing photo of Lisa and then they just chucked this effect on it, and I'll show you an example. As you can see, there's no grain in there right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to just jump down into this option here, filter, add noise. And as you can see already, it's got that effect within a couple of seconds. It's very obvious. I don't know if you've seen grainy photos before, but not all of them look as intense as what Photoshop does. When you're adding grain to something, you've got to use it very sparingly, I think. Yeah, you can obviously see that they added grain onto her here. One of the issues that I have with that is there is no use of grain in this background. It's just solely on her. Like there's no texture on this background at all. It is literally just a black square, and they've put a grainy photo of Lisa on top of it and called it a day. And while it's a strong design in some aspects, there's just little details that they've left out. One other final thing that I'll just quickly mention is when you're doing like little disclaimer text like that, it's very important for it to be legible. Not every single person goes in and reads all the little fine print, but it has to be there usually for compliance purposes. So when you're having like this really dark sort of goldish color on a harsh black background, some of the words end up not being legible. So it's very important to think about that when you're doing those disclaimer text sections. And so yeah, those are my only issues with it. There's a few, but it's minor, trust me. So really quickly now, is there anything that I would do to make it sort of better? Not really. Look, I'm just going to try and speed through a little quick poster here and see if I can create something. But this is an example of what I might have done instead. I'm not going to use the same photos. I'm just going to kind of work with what I've got here. Let's do this. I don't know, that's just something I quickly put together, and look, I'm not saying it's better, but the information is laid out in a way that's slightly more clear. Anyways, sorry, just one more thing that I wanted to mention. This is another design that I saw just recently. I just want to talk about one quick little detail. So when you're putting objects in front of type, it's very important to be very mindful or very careful of what the type is actually behind. Because when you're blocking letters, things can be assumed. So for example, this could be an R and I just wouldn't exactly know. Like see, that says Larissa. That's not the name. It could even be an N, which makes it Lanza. So like really think about when you place something on top of text, is it going to read well? That's what you need to think about. Anyways, as you can see, I'm super excited for Lisa's solo project. If you've learned something or you just want to say hi, feel free to leave a comment down below. I'm always reading the comments and I love engaging with you guys. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video around with your friends. It really means a lot to me and I really appreciate it. So anyways, as I mentioned at the start of this video, the reason why I haven't been able to get these videos out lately is because of a lot of things that have been happening. We're talking about living in a COVID world right now. We're trying to get through this pandemic and you know, there's so many things going on. I'm busy with work all the time. I've also just been putting my attention onto other projects as well, such as my band and also another new side project for my band. If you want to check those out, head over to Awkward Convos. I've also been focusing more so on my Discord server, Twitch page and TikTok. So if you want to follow me on any of those or join the Discord server, feel free to do so. All the links are down below in the description. Yeah, and I've also been doing this podcast with my friend Sega. You should check out the latest episode because if you're into Spider-Man or Marvel, did an episode talking about the latest trailer for Spider-Man that just came out, and there's a lot of cool and interesting theories that are being thrown around there. If that interests you, check out Mad About Pop Culture podcast. It's one of the loosest podcasts ever. I don't even know what that means, but apparently that's what it is. So check it out. I have a different theory-ish. In the comics, at some point, I think Ned Leeds, as in Peter Parker's best friend, was also Hobgoblin at one point. So I'm thinking maybe he becomes Hobgoblin, and Flash Thompson, there's also a comic run where he becomes a version of Agent Venom. So I'm wondering if they do that, because at some point in the comics, Agent Venom joins the Guardians of the Galaxy. And because the current Guardians of the Galaxy roster is getting exhausted, that might be a future potential storyline.
Yeah, because
Anyways, that's it from me for now. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, the usual YouTube mumbo jumbo. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but stay tuned for that. And of course, you can always jump on the Discord server, chat with us there. I'm a lot more active on Discord these days, so yeah, check it out. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you in the next one. And you've just been branded by Brand Patrol. So guys, while I was recording and writing my script for this, apparently they've dropped all the merch options, and who knows, maybe more is coming out, but they've dropped a bunch of merch options for Lisa's upcoming album, and it all looks pretty legit, and I think I'm going to order one of everything because it looks so good. Yeah, wow, this is premium stuff right here. This looks way better than the poster design, so obviously whoever designed this stuff put a lot more attention to this than the promo posters. But apart from that, yeah, like, sign me up. I'm getting one of everything, and yeah. Guys, I actually can't right now. I should be asleep, but I was playing Mario Kart with friends, and then I saw my timeline, and this was here, and I can't. My mind, like, I can't even. I don't. Look at this. My mic's falling apart. Everything's falling apart here. I can't even. I've had some of this. All right, but anyways, I'm speechless. Here we go. Oh my goodness. There isn't even any music. It's just lightning bolts, and how is this just so